I'd like to call to order the December 3rd regular meeting of the Harrison County Board of Education. If we could all stand at the moment for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Let's start off the evening with special recognitions and presentations. Our first item on the agenda is Dr. Kelly Nelson and Medbrook Children's Charity.
So 20 years ago, a guy that looked a lot like me, a little bit lighter, a lot less gray hair, showed up and said, we put this thing together called Medbrook Children's Charity, and it was time to give back to the community. We walked in with a check, a sort of meager check, but a check, and made a vow that we'd be back. Well, 20 years later, and this is the 20th year, we're honoring that vow. It's Christmas time and we're back. And when I say we, and I'm not going to be here all night, I promise, I brought some of my board members tonight. Buddy, Jacqueline, Dr. J, David, come on up. So as I've told you in the past, I'm sort of the face of this thing. I'm sort of the voice of this thing. But the heart, the soul of this thing is this community. The brains and the moral compass of this thing is this incredible board I've got. And as you can see, fortunately we've got Dr. J with us. We've gone out of our way in the last couple of years to sort of reinvent our board, to reinvigorate our board. And I can tell you with all confidence, having Jacqueline, having Adam Dyer, having Laura Pickens, having Mark Urso, having that next generation, I can now tell you with all confidence, not only will we be back, but after I'm dead and gone, they will be back, and they'll continue the work of this charity. It's 20 years in. We've been through a bunch of different superintendents. We've been through, unfortunately, a whole lot of kids, and unfortunately, I expect at this point, we're now taking care of some of the kids that we already took, their kids that we took care of. We're in our second facility here. We still want to honor tradition. 20 years ago, I showed up with one check. Tonight, as we've done in the past several years, I've showed up with two checks. The first check we've got is for the Children's Apparel Program, a program that we started some 20 years ago with the school board, reinvigorated with the school board. 20 years in, we're just shy of $2 million collected and given back to the children of Harrison County. The vast bulk of that is run through these two programs here. Tonight, we're here to give the Children's Apparel Program $35,000. And the program that's most near and dear to our heart, Jody, where are you? The School Nurses Discretionary Fund. We feel like these ladies are angels among us. We feel like they know who the working poor are. We feel like they know who falls through the cracks. So again, tonight we have for them $10,000 for their use, unfettered to do whatever. So in toto, I bring you tonight $45,000 from the community, paying forward. We'll be back, and we'll be back after I won't be back. So thank you.
They gave the checks to her.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Thank you, everyone, for all your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the job you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Our next item on the agenda for this evening is the Healthy Grand Families Graduation Cohort. So at this time, I'd like to recognize our Healthy Grand Families coordinators, Pam Hodson-Pillar, and the Parent Education Resource Center, and Riley Freeland, who will present the graduates. Are they going to read? The list of donors?
Yes. Good evening. I'm not that tall. I didn't know Kelly was that tall. Okay, I'm going to start first. Yeah. I'm going to start. I am Pam Hodson-Pillar, the coordinator of the Healthy Grand Families Project, and this is Riley Freeland. She's our social worker. She is the face of the program. She is who our grand families get to know very well, and she is there to help them with resources and services and information. I get to plan all the parties, all the sessions that we do. I make sure that we have a place to hold the sessions. I make sure that there's food there and there's beverages and we have presenters, and that we're a go each and every night for that 8 weeks that we do it. We did just finish, what is it, round 4, our 4th one, and we're already geared up to start again March 3rd. We already have people on the list signed up, and we are recruiting as each and every day. We're recruiting more to attend those sessions. We do have a special guest with us tonight, and if she would stand up and be recognized, a lady by the name of Bonnie Dunn. Bonnie is the founder of this program, I think I can say without fault. She got this kicked off in the southern part of the state at West Virginia State University, and came up here and met with some of our administrators and principals and some faculty and some social workers and guidance counselors and me. They pulled me in, and before we knew it, we were Harrison County strong. So thank you for being here with us tonight. Like she calls us her golden child. The board members each got a packet, am I right, Angela?
Yes.
And in that, you'll see a map of the state of West Virginia, and we are truly the golden child on that map. We're the first one in the southern part of the state, in the northern part of West Virginia to have our program up and running and running solid. Okay? Bonnie, you have any comments you'd like to make?
I probably should tell you that West Virginia is still number 2 in the nation. And I thought we had gone to number 1, but what happened is we were now tied with Mississippi for 2nd. Arizona is now number 1 in the nation in the number of children. But we have increased by 20-some thousand children in just the last few years, and the problem's not going away. But I am incredibly proud of Harrison County. I tell everybody you set the bar so high, I don't think they can ever attain what we've done. And you started it, I had great faith in you, and you have not disappointed. It's like coming home. I don't know if the superintendent knows or not, but I set up an office today in the rain here, so I may be back. I'm not paid. I'm not a paid employee.
Not paid by you all, but paid by somebody, right? All right, thank you very much, Bonnie, for being here with us. She was here and offered some more technical assistance and picked our brains a little bit to share with some of the other counties as they get up and are getting their programs started. All right, the next thing we'd like to do is recognize any of our new graduates, the ones that just graduated with us in October. I think we have at least one young lady with us. Do you want to introduce her?
Melissa, would you like to come up? Awesome, we have, yeah, why not? Oh my gosh. This is Melissa Flanagan. She has an 11-year-old grandson that she is raising. And she came and she attended every single one, and we were happy to have her. And I enjoyed it. Oh, good. Good, awesome. Happy to have Jacob there too, for sure. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you. For her. Okay. This book was written by Cynthia Ryland. She's a West Virginia author and librarian, and she's written more than 100 children's books, many of which have won various awards. Upon her parents' separation, Cynthia Ryland was sent to live with her mother's parents in Cool Ridge, West Virginia, while her mother attended nursing school and was able to visit her only a few times a year. Growing up in the Appalachian region during the 1960s, Ryland lived in a very depressed economic environment without books or libraries. When I Was Young in the Mountains was her first book, based on her experiences as a young child living in the country with her grandparents. So that's a gift to you. Another thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, we had 10 other graduates, and things happen, and there's a lot of children's activities and commitments that the grandparents have, but we're so glad that you made the effort to be here with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd also like to take just a second to, I know that we have at least one other grandparent who graduated in the past. Am I missing anybody? So back there, Dee Dee, you mind standing up again? And she has her granddaughter Ari with her tonight. So. And what has been exciting as we have moved on is that Dee Dee is now one of our helpers at our classes, and if we need a volunteer, we can call upon her, or she'll check with the other grand families that attend the support group meetings, and it's amazing to watch the other grand families step forward and become not just participants, but giver backers. Can I do that? Yeah, I'm retired as an English teacher, so I can say giver backers. Right. All right, thank you very much, Dee Dee, for being here with us tonight. Hang on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is recognize any businesses or organizations who might be here. Carolyn, could you help us just a minute, too, maybe? Carolyn Jones is with Family Services of Marion, Harrison County, and Carolyn is one of the presenters when we do our sessions. She does the session on parenting with the grandparents. So the businesses, I know that I see the Green family over there, and if you all would step forward. We have, and these are in your packet, I have 80-some certificates here again this year, and again, we have business owners, and I'm sure the restaurants, that's where they are right now, is serving people their dinner. But the Green family made a presentation to us back in July, and the money was earmarked for use to help Green families who might be in financial need of any kind. So they are one of the many organizations who help support and encourage and build up our program. So we have a certificate of appreciation for Harry Green Chevrolet and hugs. And hugs because, like, they're family.
Thank you.
Oh, you can
I want to put my,
take the rest of the evening.
I just want to put my YMCA hat on for two things. One is to thank the board for their support of the YMCA, which was given a few months ago. Very appreciative of that. But also the Y is working with this group to open our facility to them. Nothing's really become concrete yet, but we anticipate over the next few years that they'll be able to come up, and we'll have a lot going on. So we're trying to integrate the Y with the community that way.
For the Green family's use, so it's been great. Yeah, Nick Green is one of the many young men who called me Mama Hots back in the day when my own sons ran Bridgeport High School, ran the halls of Bridgeport High School, and they knew there was always a basket of apples on the window behind my desk on the way. Remember, from middle school over to the field? Yeah, they could stop there and get apples. So that's why we're family. All right, do I have any, I know I saw United Way representative here. Tina Yoke, if you'd step up. Tina and her staff helps out a lot also. The United Way provided the grant for Riley's salary, for one thing, and then Brad works with us, and if our grand families have problems with transportation, they came up with some gasoline cards so that we could, help them get to our sessions. So, you got me that way?
I think you know where to find me.
I do. I sure do.
I know I saw it there. Right up the Thrasher. Okay. All right. If not, okay. I may have given it to Brad. I think I gave it to Brad that day. Okay. At that meeting we had. Sorry about that. All right. Go ahead. All right, any of our churches or businesses or restaurants, do I have any representatives from them here? We have 8 restaurants who provide a meal, one each of the 8 nights, like Country Roads Grill, Meeker's, Outback. I call them, tell them how many people we're going to have, and then I have a volunteer who goes and picks the meal up and brings it to the facility where we meet, and the parents get to eat and not have to worry about cooking that night. They can just concentrate on being there. All right, we have Okay, we have many volunteers. Some of them are students. Do I have any Bridgeport High School students here today? Okay, well, I had 10 of those students who come, and they help us with the childcare that evening. I know I see Rhonda Reed here. If you'd come up, Rhonda. And Rhonda, which one of your students do you have with you?
I have Destiny Cochran.
Destiny, okay, and it should be just right here. Here's yours, Rhonda. Thank you so very much for doing that for us through the schools and getting the students signed up to come. And, yep, I have one for you, Destiny. And then you know what? If you don't mind, I'll give you the rest of these to take back to your students, all right? And thank them all profusely from us, okay? And besides the student volunteers, we also have, we're required to have an adult. And this time, oh my gosh, we had 3 areas we had to man. We had a crib room that had anywhere from 2 to 4 babies in it that evening. We had a toddler room, again, with anywhere from 4 to 6. And then we had the activities for the 6-year-olds and up. And so I had to have 3 adults, 1 in each of those areas. Rhonda served in that capacity. And we have a young man who he and his wife stepped forward, and they came each night for 8 weeks in a row and planned activities for the older group. So Joshua, Austin, I was forever calling him Justin, putting Joshua and Austin together,
And his wife, Kristen.
And Kristen, yeah, but she's not
She's
here.
working late shift.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
we're
you so
gonna,
much.
we're gonna give you Kristen's too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Joshua. Any of the other adult volunteers or students here tonight?
My teacher brain is tired, so I have to apologize. I skipped Sophia McMillan.
Oh, my, well, you've got it there for her. So then, will you please stand and be? Well, it's after Thanksgiving. And yeah, thank you, young lady. Thank you so much. But we could not do it those evenings without the students being there and participating with the little ones. And they love it. And I've had the Robert C. Byrd students and the Bridgeport High School students say, can I come back next week? Can I do this again? Let me know when you're doing it in March. And they learn a lot. They learn a lot being there. Okay.
We have Ari's too.
Yes. And then, so Dee Dee, if you and Ari would come up, there should be one for Dee Dee.
There isn't.
You're kidding.
No, remember you said that you were gonna write her name on it.
Well, okay, yeah. Okay, so this is Dee Dee Kelly, and I mentioned her earlier and how she went through the program in our first set. Almost 2 years ago now. And she came and helped us this time, and Ari came and worked with the younger children,
Help
because
her.
she'd been there, she'd done that, and she knew what to do. And she helped Josh a lot, didn't she? Help you, Josh?
We couldn't have done it without the additional kids and the students. My wife and I are expecting our first, so this is quite a trial by fire.
You're getting a good education.
Yes, I do.
Okay, all righty.
Thank you, Ari.
there?
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Sorry about it.
My goodness gracious. And then our last group of people that we need to recognize are the presenters. The parents, they come to learn, we better have somebody there who's going to teach them. And one of their favorite sessions is parenting. And I said that is presented by Carolyn Jones, who's here with us now. We couldn't do without them. We have many more. We have 7 or 8 names on here that work on the different topics with the grand families through those 8 weeks. So that is it. I mean, it is something else. And I just want to tell you all how much I appreciate your support and allowing me to do this. It's been I have learned so much, and I've been involved with many different projects at church and with the school system and other organizations and service organizations in the county in my short life. But this one, I'm telling you, it's just amazing, the outpouring. Like I said, I still have like 70-some certificates here that I will hand deliver to people over the next couple weeks and thank them again personally for what they do. But I want to thank you all for your support and keeping us up and running. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Our next presentation, I'd like to recognize Rachel Skubis from Robert C. Byrd, SAD. They will present before the board the risks of electronic cigarettes among high school students. So those of you in attendance, please. The floor is yours.
Hello and good evening. My name is Samara Singleton. I've been in Students Against Destructive Decisions for 3 years, and this year I serve as SAD president. According to the website WebMD, the FDA has reported a 900% rise in e-cigarette use among high school students from 2011 to 2015. The SAD website shows that vaping both nicotine and marijuana increased across all grades between 2017 and 2018. Supporters of e-cigarettes say that they are healthier than normal cigarettes, but they still contain harmful chemicals, including nicotine, which is extremely addicting. As teens, our brains are especially sensitive to nicotine addiction. Our brains are still developing until we are 25 years old. According to the SAD website, nicotine increases dopamine in our brains. The website describes dopamine as a chemical that naturally releases in our brains when we eat something good, do our favorite activity, or spend time with people we care about. E-cigarettes and regular cigarettes release this good feeling effect, but it wears off quickly, causing people to want to vape or light up more and more. This is what leads to addiction. Added to this feel-good effect are flavors. Matthew Myers, the president of the Campaigning for Tobacco-Free Kids, made a statement on November 3rd that Trump administration began taking action by clearing the market of all flavored e-cigarettes back in September. However, a 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey revealed that 64% of high schoolers like mint and menthol. Juul, a popular brand, still has its menthol flavored. More on this later.
Hi, I'm Ian Giacoto. I've been in SAD for 4 years, and this year I serve as SAD Vice President. As of last month, 42 deaths and more than 2,000 cases of severe lung illnesses related to e-cigarettes have been reported to the media. This data comes from the website The Dangers of Juuling by John Anthony Fraga of the National Center for Health Research. Juul is a type of e-cigarette really popular among teens because of how it looks and how it can be charged on a laptop or wall charger within an hour. The amount of nicotine in one Juul pod is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes. According to Fraga's article, brain imaging of teens who smoke shows reduced activity in their prefrontal cortex. This area of the brain is in charge of reasoning and decision making. High levels of nicotine affects this very important area. The SAD website suggests that continued e-cigarettes use can make other drugs like cocaine and meth more pleasurable to teens' developing brains. Not only this, but testing on some vaping products found cancer-causing and toxic chemicals.
Board members, I'm Sophia McMillian. I've been in SAD for 2 years. The negative health effects are obvious. Originally marketed as a better alternative to traditional tobacco cigarettes for adults, they quickly began to be marketed to teens. Different flavors, easy to disguise and hide, and so on. It was a money-making scheme. According to a November 7th NBC News report, Juul stopped selling all flavors except menthol and tobacco flavors. However, purchases are not just being made in stores. Vape cartridges also come from the internet, which can still have the different flavors. According to an article on WebMD, young people already buy from unlicensed online sources because they're cheaper than licensed stores. Health officials have said that the majority of vape cartridges involved in these unlicensed online stores are suspected to be counterfeits of recreational cannabis vape products. Izzy Simmons, or Mrs. Skubis, will show you a picture of 2 of these brands which have caused severe lung illnesses in several states.
You like being a white.
Health effects have gone far beyond even nicotine addiction.
In the beginning of November, 2 Morgantown high schoolers were hospitalized for overdosing on heroin-laced vape pens. According to the KDKA Pittsburgh News reporter, testing on the vape indicated that it contained heroin and other opioids and many other chemicals.
Here is where e-cigarettes are of our greatest concern. They're being used inside schools, mostly inside school bathrooms, and as a high school student, I don't want it to come down to one of my classmates or my friends getting hurt before something is done about it.
Board members, Ms. Gubis here, the SAD sponsor. One thing that severe lung injuries have in common is that the vape was THC, CBD, or some combination. This is coming from the same article that you have already heard about. Unlicensed sellers may be cutting the THC or CBD with something toxic to the lungs. To believe these cartridges are not present in our schools would be naive. Through the grapevine, I've heard that students from many high schools post themselves vaping on Snapchat, even selling used Juuls across this app. They text each other to meet up in the bathroom at school. Innocent students must walk across the school to use the bathroom because of vaping that is going on. One student said, for non-users, using the bathroom is becoming a great difficulty during school hours. I've personally heard stories from my peers mentioning growing fearful of walking into the bathrooms. Many, including myself, have either walked the extra way to go to another bathroom or even held it until going home. Our presentation is to not blame anyone. Take a look at these pictures that Izzy Simmons will show you once again. Would you notice if someone had one? Imagine 25 to 30 students in a classroom, lots of different things on their desks. It's hard for anyone, even a professional teacher, to spot one. These devices are meant to trick us adults, parents, teachers, and principals alike. The RCB administration has already input hall monitors and random bathroom checks. We keep the Eagle Lobby bathroom locked unless teachers are nearby to monitor it. But I will be honest, I do not always walk into a girl's bathroom on my way to the copy room or to the office. And here I am, a huge advocate against vaping. Without some measure of accountability, without an action plan from the county and state, this problem will persist. Here is a proposal: a required teacher walkthrough with a sign-in sheet twice a week, required in the same way as lesson plans and teacher duties. This would be an unannounced, scattered presence in these school restrooms that would lead to discipline referrals and the disposal of devices. Also, a full-time PRO, as our current one is part-time, traveling between schools. There are numerous ways we can battle this epidemic. Let's not wait until something bad happens. Let's get the drugs out of our schools.
Board members and people in the audience this evening, as SAD president, I ask you to be aware of this huge problems of vaping. You might even want to direct a friend over to this website, teen.smokefree.gov. We also have 3 useful handouts that everyone may grab on their way out tonight. Board members specifically, tonight we ask you that you allocate funds to at least Robert C. Byrd for a full-time school police resource officer and for a device that will allow administrators to test the contents of confiscated Juul pods for illicit substance like marijuana. This device will allow administrators to expel students caught with illegal drugs and their e-cigarettes, significantly increasing the current punishment of 3 days in-school suspension. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can say something, the PRO will be back full-time second semester. Yeah. I mean, from talking to the sheriff today.
Okay.
Second semester.
Fantastic.
And then we were lucky enough, apparently, to the money that was allocated to Clarksburg PD will now flow back, and they're giving it back to us, so that comes back to us for what we've already put out for the PRO.
Fantastic.
But second semester, he's got someone full-time there.
I was talking to the medical assistant nurse at
UTC, and she said one of her students almost died from e-cig and just got out of the hospital. So it was it called, like popcorn lung or something like that, where it just like your lungs just shut down. So it's not happening abroad; it's happening in our schools right now. And I'm glad you're educating us, but there's so much misinformation for the young teens because they assume, well, it's not a cigarette. I'm not getting the tobacco or the tar, and they assume it's okay, and then they have fun doing the smoke rings and everything else with it now. And it's harmful because they assume it's not harmful. It's even more harmful to them. So I really appreciate you educating us, but what you're out there reaching to the students.
So many are being purchased online as well, and they don't know what kind of dealer, what kind of store they're being bought from, if it's a licensed or unlicensed store, if it's laced or cut with something else. They're buying off of each other. There's just such a mix of possibilities out there that they could really get themselves hurt.
Yep.
I have a suggestion and a question also. I guess I didn't realize, I didn't put this together today, but last week I read an entire article and research where there are now vape detectors being installed in bathrooms.
We're testing those.
And I think that's something maybe we should look at a little bit more, what's out there and what the success is. But a lot of schools have, that's what I was reading, they're putting vape detectors in the bathrooms. My question then is, you said about the tester to see if it's illegal. They're not allowed to have nicotine in the schools either. So, but you're saying that if it's nicotine, it's 3 days. But if it's a THC or CBD, it's a larger offense?
No, not CBD, THC. Like we can test with our field kits. We can test if you have residue. I can test it and see if there's what drug it is with my field kit. So whether
and that's what you're requesting is like a field kit?
No, your PRO, when you get it full time, should have access to those field kits.
I think what you guys, if I hear you correctly, you're requesting an action plan to be put together for the schools so that we can try to combat this and be proactive to come and get in front of this. Am I right?
Exactly.
Maybe we could do this. Here's an idea. You guys had some nice presentation materials this evening. What if you developed an action plan? And you developed a plan that you would like to see, and then we asked Dr. Manchin to get with you and to see if this is a viable action plan that can be implemented in the schools in our county. Something that the students have been able to put together themselves, something that they know that the adults necessarily wouldn't be able to figure out, wouldn't be able to know. Maybe if it comes from the students, it might help us a little bit better.
I thought that's what they did.
Is there a set date that we could give this to Dr. Manchin so it doesn't become a...
I would say immediately.
But also, now that we have a PR specialist, it would be nice if we could put this information out on our Channel 18 to educate people. Because I think there's a lack of education with e-cigarettes. So I would love to see you guys work with, get the information to Todd.
And with parents.
And yeah, that's why we need it out there on Channel 18 and with the
Especially
news.
the two brands that cause so many severe lung diseases.
Juuls, yeah. They look like thumb drives. You would never know that they're a cigarette device. Right.
I have one in my car right now. I found in the grass and I thought that's what it was. When we were cutting the grass and I saw it, I just found it the other day. I was cleaning it out and I threw it in my car thinking someone's going to call me and ask for it that lived there. Back to my question though, when you're talking about that, I'm just trying to understand, like, if these are tested, someone's caught with one of these, so they're not allowed in the schools, period. Okay? So then a student is caught with caught with one. And there are different, so you're saying if it's nicotine, it's a 3-day in-school suspension. If it's THC, it's the higher offense.
Yeah, same as if I bring any drug in school.
Okay. And so that's why we want to have the tester, correct?
It increases the fear factor, because even though scare tactics
in-school suspension. But if they have illegal drugs rather than just tobacco,
Mhm.
and that can be proven, that's more than just a ticket if the PRO is there. That's a ticket and fine. If the PRO is there, they can actually be expelled. They can have 10-day out-of-school suspension, and then they'll be expelled to the alternative school.
Now, I wonder if you find one compared to catching someone smoking, just out of curiosity. I'm just trying to think in my mind, like,
It's the
I
same
mean,
thing. It's the
is
same
it the
punishment.
same thing? I mean, like, say if someone, like you're saying, you're finding them on the floor and sitting on the desk. If, once teachers are more educated about this and they see one sitting on the desk, are the offenses the same as actually being caught smoking it?
PRO would be able to investigate more than a teacher can. I'm not sure in the classroom, but at least in the hallway with the cameras.
Yeah, and if I'd be a student and I had one that had the THC in it, and I give it to you, that's distribution. Now that's a bigger offense than just having simple possession. So.
So test kits were real important.
Yeah, the test kits.
But that's
you
going to
can-
flow through the PRO. We don't,
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, I know what they're saying, but we don't want school personnel to have to
No,
run a
you-
test
you
kit. That
want-
needs to go through the PRO, because if you find something, you
Why
need the PRO.
is RCB right now only with a half-time PRO?
Because the sheriff's department has to have the person in place, and he's assured me it is for they just took over mid-semester from Clarksburg having it. So he's got a person ready to go into place. Clarksburg gave it up basically, and he's scrambling around, and he'll have the personnel. He end up hiring another person. So he's assured me the beginning of the second semester, we will have a full-time PRO.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't realize that. Like, that was shocking.
It was, the sheriff stepped up to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I really appreciate that. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda is Mr. Gordon Lane. Sir, the floor is yours.
My name is Gordon Lane. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. We'll go through the opioid litigation as it relates to school districts, and would like to represent or be considered to represent your Board of Education. As I go through, if you have questions, just ask as I go through. Otherwise, it's hard to keep them in your mind till the very end. So, I don't want to go beyond the time limit. So let me know.
You actually are a presentation this evening, so there is no time limit during our.
Okay. Well,
as
if you need to cut short, you let me know. I'm an attorney in West Virginia, grew up in West Virginia. I worked in the largest law firm in the country for a period of years in Houston, Texas, before returning to West Virginia. I've been listed as best lawyers in America for many years, and my firm, which is a small firm, has been listed in best law firms in America for quite a few years. I've litigated case before West Virginia's mass litigation panel and have done substantial amount of commercial litigation. I also specialize in the business area and have done business litigation matters. I've been involved in education for quite a few years as a volunteer, not as an employee in the school system. In the 80s, I formed a coalition, quite a few business associations, League of Women Voters, and other groups to lobby at the legislature just for improved education. And then when Governor Caperton was elected, he appointed me to chair a task force to study public education financing to find to look at the total finances and to find ways to increase teachers' pay. And I've also served on task forces appointed by the governor in education. Today, I'd like to tell you about opioid litigation. It's somewhat complex, so I'll try to start kind of at the inception of the litigation and take you forward until today and give you the lay of the land in what's going on in the country in the opioid litigation. I'm sure you've read articles about the litigation, and a lot of the more recent articles were in the federal multi-district litigation in Ohio. But the opioid litigation started with states. The state of West Virginia sued Pharma, one of the main manufacturer of opioids, OxyContin and other opioid products. Rod Jackson headed up that case for the state of West Virginia, developed the defendant causation that they had engaged in wrongful conduct, knew that this was very addictive, and yet concealed that in their advertising and promotion of their products. Mr. Jackson was successful in that litigation and obtained a substantial settlement. He is the lead attorney in our legal team. So he's litigated opioid cases, and several members of the damage team that he used are on our damage team. And we are all from West Virginia and are focused on school districts in West Virginia. The states, including West Virginia, were successful in proving that pharma concealed the addictive nature of their product and engaged in practices designed to market their product and without disclosing what their own emails disclosed that they knew. Subsequently, the major distributors of medicines, of opioids nationally, flooded areas, many of them in West Virginia, southern West Virginia, Huntington, West Virginia, and knew that they were obviously not all being used for medicinal purposes. It was too massive a quantity in too small an area. And also retail, pharmacies, CVS, others have been brought into the litigation, knowing that they were filling prescriptions that far exceeded what could possibly be a medical purpose. So for the past several years, or 3 or 4 years, the primary litigants after the states brought their cases were cities, counties, and hospitals. And some states are also presently litigating. They have by now worked up a substantial body of evidence of what these defendants did that was negligent and intentional to profit from the distribution, from the sale, from the manufacture, and have obtained substantial settlements. The states have. And so the body of evidence to prove that defendants did something wrong is well established. So presently, what's going on in the litigation? Well, the hospitals, cities, and counties have national law firms have developed damage models for each of those kinds of entities. So let's take a county. And I'm not talking about a county board of education, just a county commission. The damage experts have developed models based on how many prescriptions or opioid deaths were in that county. What was the cost for medical responders in that county? What has that done to clog up your police force and requiring extra policemen? And so there's a well-developed model for counties. There's also a well-developed, and the easiest model to develop is hospitals. They have, to the penny, if you entered a hospital in West Virginia, an opioid abuser, this is how much it cost for the emergency room to treat that person. If they were admitted, then the average cost of that person was like $57,000. If you were admitted and had an infection, from needles or HIV, then the cost went up to about $103,000. So it's easy for hospitals to plug into the damage model. So right now, you've got about 2,600 cities, counties, and hospitals with lawsuits pending against the manufacturers, distributors, and retail like Rite Aid, CVS. Most of those are in federal district court, which has been a very slow process. The law firms that recruit counties and cities locally basically assign the cases to large national firms that have really developed these damage models and are working up those cases. So they tried to reach in the Ohio case, and you may have read about that several months ago. It was Judge Polson was pushing hard to get a global settlement. And that would have been for states, counties, cities, and hospitals. There are several unions, but there are no school districts. And so the proposal that was offered was viewed as not nearly significant enough to resolve these cases. There were quite a few cities and counties in West Virginia that believed that the settlement favored large metropolitan areas, which is where these large national firms are their interests are going to be. It's possible that a global settlement will be reached. It will be a very difficult settlement. There are too many conflicting interests. It's not like the tobacco settlement. Once everybody got on board, it was basically states with the same interest against tobacco companies. Well, now you've got cities, counties, states, hospitals, rural areas, large metropolitan areas. So it's very possible they could reach a global settlement. It's not close right now, or doesn't appear to be, but like any matter, it could settle. If settlement would come from that federal district court case, where approximately 2,600 cases are pending.
Gordon, if I may.
Sure.
The global then would include boards of education?
That's a good question, Doctor. When take, I'd say 2 to 3 months ago, the federal judge they had a litigation case pending of 2 counties in Ohio, and that were litigating it, and at that time, no school districts had filed a case. And so school districts, if there's a major settlement soon, really are not involved in that settlement. And
So if I may, then only those counties, or I think earlier, the city of Miami.
Correct.
Is the only Board of Education in the United States.
I've researched it thoroughly, and if there was another one besides Miami, I believe I'd know.
So if there were a global settlement, then only those, well, obviously, hospitals, county commissions, municipalities would all then would be a party. Only those counties that would file then would be a party to any settlement.
Yes.
So those county, or those state counties, boards of education, which right now, as we've already established, only the city of Miami. And I don't think there's any unanimity in West Virginia of any firms or anybody that started this process. And so that's,